Hello, you are watching interview series of leaders and experts from Vietnam Investment Summit 2024, hosted by Bloomberg Business with Vietnam. And right next to me, we'd like to introduce Mr. Jens Lottner, CEO of Techcombank Vietnam. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
As Techcombank is approaching the final years of the 5-year plan, so do you see the bank reaching its target set earlier?
So again, on the targets, I think whenever you do a plan, you set out some financial targets and some non-financial targets. I think on the financial targets, we're pretty much on track. Again, when it comes to some of the efficiency ratios, maybe at the end period, and maybe a little bit lower than what we had hoped for. But overall, over the 5-year period, when it comes to total profit, and we're actually pretty much on where we want to be. When it comes to some of the capabilities, we build up over time. When it comes to customer acquisition, I think we're actually ahead of and some of the things we had set out. So I would say, a report card, and we're probably mixed, but relatively in the upper tier.
Yeah. So in the past 5 years, what major driver have affected Techcombank's journeys to realize such an objective?
So again, I think when you look at the market, and probably on the market side, there were some major events like the crisis with SCB and some of the global geopolitical turbulences and bank assurance. So I think there were a couple of market dislocations which probably were not helpful. But again, I think we probably helped with that. I think when it comes to the pure building up scale and being able to acquire people digitally, customers digitally, I think that actually worked probably even better than what we had hoped. So I think a lot of things which worked actually pretty well for us were our ability to create partnerships, our ability to engage with other partners in the ecosystem, our ability to scale up our platforms. I think that was very helpful. And then the last one is I think we did and make a lot of progress on the data side. So our ability right now to actually use modern machine learning, artificial intelligence, Gen AI, all these kind of buzzwords, I think that has become very much a reality in our bank.
So what possible challenges that you can see in that might emerge in the coming year?
So again, I think in the coming years, and again, we will probably still see an ongoing geopolitical volatility and all of this. So, but again, we don't worry too much about it because there's nothing what we can actually do, right? I still believe that the overall growth story of Vietnam is actually continuing, right? There's a forming middle class. I think we will have between 6 to 7% GDP growth on an ongoing basis. So I think this underlying momentum will still be very, very good. And then I think it's just up to us to basically make sure, are we continuing on these growth trajectories, right? And I think from that, and I believe all the things we have put in place should actually enable us to provide better services, be much more customer-centric, be much more productive, efficient, and being at the point in time with the customer when the customer really needs a specific solution. So I think our strategy of hyper-personalization, of being much more customer-centric, I think that we can probably now put a little bit into real traction as we see the next couple of years.
Yeah. So what is your outlook on the transformation of Vietnam banking sector in the next 5 years?
So again, I think there will probably be an even stronger bifurcation. I think there will be those banks who are just big, sizable, and they will continue to make the investments. And I think they will benefit from the fact that they have built trust over the last couple of years, right? And I think they will continue to strive. And I think they will probably also do very well compared to some of the tech, fintechs and all of that. I think for some of the smaller banks, I think it might be harder because the investments required and going forward, I think might actually overstretch their resources. So again, I think we'll see stronger banks getting stronger, and the other ones, I believe, will probably struggle a little bit.
Yeah, that's about the banking sector in general.
Yeah.
How about Techcombank? What role do you envision Techcombank playing in this broader landscape?
So again, I think what we will probably be seeing that we will continue to be a little bit of a trailblazer for adopting technology. And so I think there are a couple of new products we introduced on the back of technology. I think the way how we are right now using Gen AI for productivity gains, but also basically creating better customer experiences. And I think we will probably harvest these experiences. And what we are clearly seeing is that this position of having a bank which is very deeply rooted in the local economy, but probably having capabilities which are much more closer to regional banks, I think is very appealing to companies. So, and I think we're seeing more and more companies who are basically reaching out also on the FDI side and overseas companies, and who really like this combination of local, global, hybrid capabilities. So I think we're very comfortable that this will continue.
You mentioned many times about the power of AI and data. Into the journey of Techcombank. So how are you preparing the human resources for this data and AI power journey?
So I think that is that's actually a question which keeps us up at night. And if you ask me what is one thing we really need to work on, is actually how do we prepare people for that, because the change is so rapidly, right? And so I think there are two things what we're doing. One is we're still going overseas. We're trying to find the best people possible across the globe who will basically come and join Techcombank. At the same point in time, we're putting a lot of training programs very specifically for different parts of the bank. If you're a financial analyst, and if you're a relationship manager, if you're a branch director, all of them need to understand what data can do for them, what new tools we have. So last year we put around 200,000 training hours into our people. So we have around 11,000 staff, 12,000 staff, and just in order to introduce digital, right? And on average, every year we're probably training people 50, 60 hours on an individual basis. So again, there's a lot of work we're doing in order to make sure that people remain relevant and in that new world.
Yeah. If you could choose one keyword to say about your expectation in 2025, so what would be?
I think it's sustainable growth. That probably would be the most relevant one. And I think we will probably see more instability, volatility surrounding us. But I think being sustainably profitable and growing, and I think that's probably the key aspiration for the bank.
So in the vision of the sustainable growth that you mentioned, is this a future that Techcombank will expand outside Vietnam, any neighbor market that you are aiming for?
So I believe so in the past I was for 20 years a career consultant, and one of the key questions in strategy we always asked ourselves is, are you good or lucky? I think what luck means is, are you basically just in the right space, at the right place, at the right point in time? Or do you really have capabilities which can be transported to other markets? And I think I'm very clear about the problems and the customer problems I can solve in this market. And I'm not quite sure what customer problems I could solve in Thailand or in Singapore, for that matter. So I think we're looking, because this question is always coming up, we're looking at this, but I think if we don't have a convincing answer, where we're saying, this is something only we can do, and if we fix it, we will really have happy customers. As long as we don't have a convincing answer to that, I think we're probably rather well advised to work in Vietnam than going overseas.
Yeah, thank you very much for joining us in the interview.
Thank you very much. Thank you.